Good day and welcome to the Algarve Addicts video podcast once again. So now, the Algarve has often been considered like a backwater, especially for startup and tech and business innovation. And all the people up in Lisbon are doing their wild thing, they're running around like mad, and they always forget and they think that Algarve is just a place for tourists to come on holiday and drink cocktails on the beach. And to a degree that's true, but there's also a little budding enclave of excited, entrepreneurial-minded people in the Algarve. Now, Algarve Evolution is an organization that has grown up out of this desire to spring forward and do something good for the region. So let's meet António Guerreiro, who's spearheaded this, and he's actually the man behind it. And essentially, if you want to put it in a nutshell, these guys have created a community of like-minded individuals all around the Algarve. They're connecting with all the digital nomad groups and other groups and startup groups all the way across the Algarve, and creating events and stuff and creating a very strong community. So if you are interested in getting ahead in the Algarve, creating a business, investing in a business, or even starting a business, or finding out how to do stuff, just get in touch with these guys. And here's the story of Algarve Evolution. Hey, Antonio, thanks so much for joining us on the Algarve Addicts podcast. It's great fun. We're doing it on video now, which is really exciting. So I know, where are you right? You're in Faro right now, huh?
Yeah, well, thank you, Nick, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I am at Tech Campus, inside the campus of Peña in Faro.
Excellent. I've been there. It's quite an exciting spot. There's lots going on. But, I know you attended the University of the Algarve. Were you actually born in Faro itself?
Actually, I was born and raised. And I have also made my bachelor degree at the University of the Algarve. I study arts, especially drama, cinema, and literature.
Wow, that's interesting. So like drama, cinema, and literature, and now you're in tech, which is it. But let's not answer that question quickly. So let's go back to the early days. What is life like in Faro in the 2000s? Didn't you find it boring?
Well, in a way, yes. But I think when you grow up here, and if you have the opportunity to visit other places, I'm not talking about international places, even national places, you understand that you live in a special place. When you have access to the ocean, when everyone knows each other, it kind of feels special. So it was slightly different from what it is now, but in essence, it was a beautiful place to grow up and to study.
I mean, there's a lot more people in Faro than there are where I live in São Brás del Portel. So I think there's about 60,000 in Faro and there's about 12,000 in São Brás. And my daughter's always telling me, "Oh, Dad, it's so boring here." And I get that. But I think Faro is a different kettle of fish, isn't it? There's lots more people, lots more things happening. It's an exciting place to be, isn't it?
Yeah, Faro is as the capital of the Algarve, is a city that relies a lot on services. So you have the international airport, you have the central hospital, you have a lot of services that makes Faro a place that basically has a little bit of everything. It's not as touristic as other places, but I think Faro provides a good vibe to live the entire year. Because when the other places are slightly down with tourism, Faro has all this energy due to the university. So it is probably a cool place to live if you are in the Algarve, and if you have to have some cultural life as well.
Yeah, that's very important, isn't it? Because I think a lot of tourists arrive in Faro Airport and they just bypass Faro and they head off to the west, and they're missing something really cool because there's a lot of local action, as it were, in Faro, isn't it?
Yeah, that for I would say until 2016, that would probably be the norm. A traveler would arrive at the airport and then off he or she go to somewhere else. But I think that have changed recently, and one of the reasons has to do with the short-term rentals, with also the fact that there is a few more hotels in the city now, so there is more opportunities for people to actually spend the night here instead of coming just for one afternoon. So now you're seeing
some beautiful hotels, like 3HB and Hotel Eva, Hotel Faro. Yeah. Amazing hotels.
I wish you could have more, because definitely the city would be would benefit from it. So I think Faro still is short in terms of accommodations for travelers.
Sure. And how do you think, the whole Algarve has changed, or Faro, since your youth?
Well, definitely you see Faro became more cosmopolitan. And also, as I was saying, to tourism, because for instance, Ryanair and EasyJet started to operate from and to Faro. The University of the Algarve, I don't know if you know, but it is a university in Portugal that attracts the highest number of different nationalities, over 100 nationalities.
Wow.
It's really impressive, yeah. Although the university doesn't have as many students as other universities in Portugal, it has a really large diversity in terms of students' nationalities. So those little things make Faro a cool mix between locals and also internationals. So I would say Faro have changed recently and became more international.
Okay, and are there any bars and restaurants that you recommend? Because there are some that have been around for years, and I'm sure you went to a few when you were at university there, like Columbus Bar. What's the one? Castello overlooking the Rio Formosa. Are there any great bars that you can recommend for people that you love?
Well,
or restaurants?
I don't go out as much as I used to go when I was younger, but definitely you still have a few options to go. You mentioned two of them, Columbus, that actually started during the Euro Cup in Portugal in 2004.
Okay.
I remember that quite well. You also have a great place to have a drink and dance if you want to, called Madalena, from my good friend Rodrigo. You also have a cool wine bar called Epicure. They even have a speakeasy inside of it that can give you access to a private room to have a gastronomic experience.
Nice.
Supported by artificial intelligence.
Really?
Yeah. What else? You start to have really cool restaurants with international cuisines. So
that's one thing that I've seen about Faro as well. It's amazing how the restaurant scene and the bar scene have just popped over the last few years since COVID. It's incredible.
I would also recommend a restaurant called Ceu, CEU, in English, Sky. They have a good mix. They mix cuisines from Central America. I think it is by an American girl and her husband or boyfriend, which is English, I believe. They have been all over the place in the world, and they came to Faro and decided to open a restaurant. You also have other restaurants like Atu, from a really impressive young chef. Atu, A-T-O. Yeah, I would say those
awesome.
Could be my recommendations. Okay. Yeah. And then I have my favorite...
Your secret ones.
Secret ones. It's not secret, but the ones that there is one that has beautiful Nepalese food, and it's just next to my place. It's called Nepali Faro something, from Richi, a very kind and friendly Nepalese guy.
Cool. And you went to, am I correct in saying you worked in the USA in 2012? Is that correct?
Yes.
LA. What are you doing in Los Angeles?
So at the time I was working, I was managing projects at the research center at the university, here in the University of the Algarve, and I've met an American director. And at the time, the Algarve was positioning itself to be a hub for the film industry. And I met this director that was launching a project in Los Angeles, and he invited me to be the studio manager. So basically to be the production manager, to deal with the cast, to deal with the crew. So I accepted the invitation. I went to Los Angeles, and it was really fun. We were shooting a TV show pilot. Unfortunately, it wasn't bought, so it didn't succeed, and I didn't have the visa to work. So I came back to Europe.
Okay, and then you went to London and worked in a Thai restaurant, is that correct?
Yeah, so when
I've been checking out your LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I came back to Portugal, and just after I left LA, I went to New York, where I spent a month, and it was an amazing month there. But I spent all my money, so I needed to save some money. So I came back to Portugal. I worked in a beach bar in the Algarve. I saved some money, and I went to London because I wanted to continue my international experience. So I went to London in the hopes of working in the entertainment industry. And so the first month there, I basically went to as many musicals and cultural events that I could. And of course, that after a while, I needed to make some money. So I thought, well, maybe I could start working at a restaurant, and then I can keep trying to reach an agency that I can work with. So that I started working at the Thai restaurant, and 3 years passed working with this company.
Oh, yeah. It must have been a fun time there, I imagine, like being in London. And
London is amazing.
Yeah.
But now that I look back, I couldn't live there anymore. But I still go back to London, but on holidays.
And Eating Algarve Food Tours, what happened there?
Oh, so between London and creating the company, Eating Algarve Food Tours, there is a year that I went to Barcelona. That I don't think it is on my LinkedIn, though.
Yeah, see, I missed that. Yeah.
I went to Barcelona because I was so bloody tired of the grey London. I needed some palm trees and getting closer to the ocean. So I moved to Barcelona. And then I started to develop this idea of creating a gastronomic experience, a cultural experience. So I started to design this company to operate in Barcelona. And then I've heard about this competition that was being held in Portugal to attract Portuguese entrepreneurs to Portugal. So they opened this call, and they wanted to find projects in order to give them some money to support and create companies and create new jobs, which was an amazing idea. So while I was in Barcelona, I applied because this was for Portuguese that were living abroad. I applied, I went to the competition, and I was one of the winners. So
congratulations.
Yeah, well, thank you. They were very generous. They gave us some money, and I created Eating Algarve Food Tours with a partner, a friend of mine, Joanna. And the two of us run Eating Algarve Food Tours for like 3 and something years.
Oh, excellent.
Until COVID hit. And in a way, it was a blessing for us because we were reaching to a point of exhaustion because me and Joanna, we were operating in 5 cities. So we would do the administration work, the marketing, the sales, and we would even operate the tours. So we were the guides. Imagine doing this almost every day.
Wow, were these 5 cities in the Algarve? These 5 cities in the Algarve. Oh, yeah.
So we started in Faro. We then we were doing in Olhão, in Lolé, in Silves, and in Lagos. So basically, it were tours of 3 hours, some of them even more, where we would visit museums, viewpoints, art galleries, and in between, we were going to restaurants and little bars, and even private homes to taste, sample the typical food of the Algarve, and drinks as well. So
you are the right man to ask for a restaurant review. That's brilliant. But now, how did all these amazing life experiences culminate in the Algarve Evolution?
Okay, so when COVID hit, I stopped the company. Me and Joanna, we closed the company, and we took that time to kind of do a balance, to think about what we wanted to do with our lives. And so that's why I was saying that COVID for us was like a blessing because it made us stop and rethink what we wanted to do. So I then started to do communication and executing projects related to tech. I organized almost like 20 tech events, and that's how I came across to Algarve with Algarve Evolution. And Miguel Fernandes, which is the president of the Algarve Evolution, asked me if I would be interested in coming to the association and managing projects there. Because Algarve Evolution, that we can talk about it, as an association, all their members, they were busy to running their own companies. So they needed someone full-time that could operate and execute projects.
Okay, so that's a perfect segue to say, what is Algarve Evolution? Can you define it?
Well, yeah, I would be happy to define what is Algarve Evolution. Basically, Algarve Evolution has this mission of nurturing the ecosystem for startups and entrepreneurs to create global solutions from the Algarve.
So it's just a business tech thing. Not just, but I mean, it's focused on business and tech business.
Yeah, so Algarve Evolution is a non-profit association that represents a community of innovative individuals, but also companies, and companies from all sizes, to grow a more innovative Algarve. So this community, the strength of this community is rooted in its diversity. And why do I say that? Because we have local, national, and international members from different backgrounds, and all of us, we share this passion for the region. So it's a really diverse community of doers that is trying to solve some of the challenges of the region. Different challenges, as if we could say that. And we are tackling some of it. And I would say that we are trying basically to change the mindset. I think that's the most important challenge that we have in the Algarve. The Algarve in Portugal, actually, but let's talk about the Algarve, is to change the mentality. By changing the mentality, I think all the other challenges become more easier to deal with. So I would say the main challenge for us is to change the mentality. So other challenge that we have here, we would love to broaden the region's economic diversity. At this moment, the Algarve is very much focused, its industry is very much around tourism, which is a very mature industry, but we want to increase other industries. We want also to draw private investments to the region. There is a lack of investment in our companies. We would love, and we are enhancing skills. We want to train, we want to retain, and we want to attract more talent.
Okay, I've got a question for you though. How do you change a mentality? Because that's culture, and it's been embedded in people's minds for generations.
Yeah.
So how do you change the mentality of the people? I mean, that's really hard, isn't it?
That's a really good question, and our answer is by doing initiatives in two main areas. So the Algarve Evolution, if we want to foster a more dynamic ecosystem, and we want to help create more and better startups. So our plan action are directed to two initiatives. The first one is about entrepreneurship and skills. The second one is ecosystem growth. And where can we change the mindset? Well, education programs. We are designing programs, education for entrepreneurship with STEAM concepts, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. We want to include financial literacy. We want to include the state-of-art technologies. And we also do community development with knowledge-sharing events. So changing mentality is not something that we are going to do in 6 months. It can take one generation. It can take more generations. What we are focused is how can we accelerate this transformation. So going to schools, going to the university, going to high school, going to elementary schools, trying to put the seeds on the next generation. Also creating events, knowledge-sharing events where we mix locals and internationals. I would say that would be a good start to change mentalities.
So essentially you're going on roadshows around the Algarve, speaking to school students, to university groups and all other kinds of things, right?
Well, we are designing that at this very moment. Although we have started last year we went to a bachelor degree class on programming, and we gave 4 classes about entrepreneurship. We talk about how to generate ideas, how to validate ideas, how to work on business model canvas, how to do a pitch. We create even a presentation for students where they had to work together in different groups to come up with a project for a company. That was our first step, and we have been doing this since 2022. But in 2024, we are having talks with the university. We are talking with high schools, with elementary schools, on how can we design programs to go to the schools and to talk with the students and start having this this problem-based learning experiences where we have real problems and we work on how to solve those problems.
And how's the feedback been from the universities and the people that you've been speaking to? Are they open to this?
People
are
are
resistant?
People are open to this. I mean, of course, we try to reach to the ones that already understand what we are doing, and you would be surprised when you present something like this. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Who doesn't want to have more skills, providing more knowledge to that students? Everyone wants it. Even the students, they ask it. We are also having meetings with students, with student unions, and having them, listening to them and presenting them what we are planning. So we are also talking with the professors, with the heads of departments, and we are also talking with students and listening to them, what do they want to. So,
excellent.
And when we approach and when we have this proactive attitude, I mean, doors that we thought would be closed, they suddenly start to open. So of course, this takes some time. This doesn't happen at the speed that we would love to, but anyway, it's happening. So we are very optimistic.
That's fantastic. And what about the second thing, like trying to attract foreign investment into the Algarve? I think you mentioned foreign private investment, because there's obviously a lot of government investment and funds available to companies here. But I think the challenge with the government investment is that a lot of people, especially foreigners, don't know how to take advantage of that. So yeah, how are you guys going about doing that?
So regarding private investment, I would say, I would just add that our initiatives also we also do events or actions related to the ecosystem growth, where we want to support incubation and accelerator programs, and we are also hosting flagship events like the Algarve Tech Hub Summit, because that's something that I would love to also talk with you about, which is the Algarve Tech Hub. So before we could talk about how to draw a private investment, I would love to tell you that the Algarve Evolution is one of the 3 entities that is in charge of this brand, of this regional brand that is Algarve Tech Hub. And Algarve Tech Hub is this regional initiative that was based upon a memorandum of understanding for the implementation of this collaborative strategy for the region. So the Algarve Tech Hub is a set of stakeholders that are related to the ecosystem, and we are all integrated. So we have, on one side, we have the academia that is led by the University of the Algarve. We have the government that is led by Algarve STP, which is an association that stands for Science and Technology Partnerships. And the Algarve Evolution represents the third leg, if we could say it, that we represent companies and individuals. So the 3 of us, we are leading the strategy to position the Algarve as a lifestyle, innovative tech hub. So it's a brand that has the focus to attract talent. So now connecting to how do we attract talent? Well, the government are trying to do their work by having visa programs, and we know that they have been helpful in attracting talents. It have also come with some of backlash from the media, from the local populations. That's another conversation. But basically, we would love to have also more support in order to create facilities for research and development. We are also doing our part, which is training talent. So we are designing a strategy with university on how can we train more talent, how can we try to solve these challenges of the shortage of technical science graduates that we have. Also, how can we...
Instead of importing them, you train them here, and retain people, right?
It's three things. I would say it's train, retain, and attract. Train because we have a shortage of technical, as I was saying, science graduates. Retain because we have a high emigration of skilled professionals. And attract because we need more expertise, we need more people, we need people that can come and work with us, especially in areas where we are not so developed. So I would say that these 3 points would be has to be a priority, and of course we cannot do everything by ourselves. So this needs to be integrated with the university, with the municipalities, with the CCDR,
the Regional Development Council, right?
Yeah, so everyone has to be involved in this collaborative strategy. So we need to be together when we need to work together.
That must be quite frustrating sometimes. I mean, obviously collaboration with government departments sounds like it'll be a long, involved process. Do you find it quite an easy process?
To talk with the local government?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we need to be on the same page, and we need to open, and we have conversation with them, and we would like to improve those conversations, because if we want to change the region and create a more innovative region, we have to deal with the talent, we have to deal with the funding, and I think I have not answered to your question, but I can come right after. And we need to talk about policies, and we need to talk about policies that can be aligned with the not only with the strategy for the region, but also for the existing companies. And then we could say that we could also talk about how can we reduce bureaucracy.
Yeah.
How could we cut the slow process? How can we stop the unpredictability? That 1 year is this, the next year is that. We definitely, there is a lot of room to improve here.
Sure, and there's a lot of work to be done, which I don't think any one unit could do. But there is something which you are doing a lot of work in, and I think I've been to a couple of your networking events, which are hugely helpful. We did a walk and talk in the Algarve the other day in Quinta del Lago. That's fantastic. I met so many great people, and I think one interesting aspect of life in the Algarve is that because through our work with Algarve Addicts, we speak to a lot of people who are retired and are moving over to Portugal to take up residency. And a lot of those people, most of them are really intelligent people who had a rich life, being CEOs of companies. And when they arrive here, some of them would love to try and interact and help the local, the local community and the local system. So how do they get in touch, and how do you work? Do you work with them specifically, or how does that work?
So I spend quite a considerable amount of time during the week to talk with different people. And we try to reach as much people as we can, and we do that by different ways. One of them is by having events. So as you're saying, walk and talk was a very good example. We did this walk and talk, just walk and talk, and we did that in a nice surrounding in Rio Formosa. We had people that we probably wouldn't know if we were not doing that, but we also do all the other meetups, like the Grow Algarve meetup, that every month we go to a different municipality, and the reason for that is we want to map everyone that is in different places in the Algarve, because the Algarve, although it's not a large region, is a very scattered region. So we have 16 municipalities. And having so many municipalities is also one of the reasons that sometimes we cannot move as fast as we wanted to, because everyone is working on their own gardens, and sometimes they have a different party colors, and so they might not go well with everyone as it should be. So we try to rise above that. We are agnostic in terms of party colors, of religion, of gender. I mean, we try to be as much inclusive as possible. But doing events in different geographies inside the Algarve for us is very important, so we can meet different people. And we are creating a very interesting community across the Algarve, for sure.
Yeah, and you've had a lot of events, I think. I mean, I don't know how many events you've had, maybe 10 or 15 already.
2023, I started at Algarve Evolution in mid-August. And I think community events we did last year were probably around 15. Between meetups, between startup weekends. We did one startup weekend that was an intensive learning experience, education experience, where we had like 30 people working in new ideas, validating new ideas for business, from Friday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. So we had everything prepared. They just needed to go back and sleep and come back. All the meals were in the building where we're working at, and it was focused. We had mentors, and then they pitched their ideas to a panel of judges that gave feedback. There was a prize. Yeah, we try to do a lot of activities involving the community because we want to get everyone on board.
Excellent. Yeah, I think I was in a WhatsApp group and somebody said she won a prize, but it was fantastic at that event, which is great. Yeah. So here's the last question. It may seem like a bit of a stupid question, but it's like, why do we need to grow the Algarve? There's a lot of resistance to growth from, some people from some quarters, and people can look at Lisbon and say how it's grown in the last 10 years, and, has it grown well? Has it grown bad? But why do we need to grow the Algarve?
Why do we need to grow the Algarve?
I mean, I know the answer. It's obvious, isn't it?
Who doesn't want to live in a region that can be improved and that has the potential that the Algarve has? So we, as Algarve Evolution, we want to position the Algarve as a lifestyle innovation hub. That's why we are shaping a brighter future through innovation and entrepreneurship for today's, but also, and maybe more important, for tomorrow's generation of startups, of entrepreneurs, so they can create jobs that can be international, but can be based in the Algarve. So we are doing this not just for ourselves, but for our kids, for the next generation, so we can create conditions that they don't need to go to Lisbon, to London, to pursue their dreams, that they can do it, they can be happy and be successful in the Algarve.
Fantastic. We can leave it there. Thank you so much, Antonio. I really appreciate you coming on. Awesome.
Thank you, Nick, for the invitation. It was a pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. It was great.
AlgarveAddicts.com